What's up, guys? Welcome back to Startup UTV. Before we start reviewing the Amazon Halo, make sure to like this video, hit subscribe, comment below. As you guys know, I talk a lot about biometric devices. I think it's the business owner's best friend. It's like having gauges in your car. When you're running full speed and you're a type A entrepreneur, you need to know what's going on. You need to know you're running low on fuel. And so I'm always trying new devices. I want to see what's out there, what's the latest and greatest. I've done a lot of those videos, so if you want to check more of those out, make sure you do so on this channel. But you can only do that if you subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. All right, so let's talk about the Amazon Halo. So first impressions, holy wow. This thing, I'm very, very impressed. I just did a review on the Whoop. So I would compare it, it's most similar to the Whoop strap. There's a couple things that I can tell already that I can tell I'm gonna like this better. And then there's some things that are kind of concerning, like this thing is listening to me and telling me what my tone is. So we're gonna get to that, so stick around. Early impressions are one of the more modern ones. I just talked about the Garmin Fenix 6, crazy old school, right? The thing was like from the 80s. It's ridiculous. The interface, just everything about it. Connecting it, I love Garmin. I wasn't completely overwhelmed with this product. I'm very impressed so far with Halo and getting it started and getting things going on this thing. It's extremely modern. It's gonna be a super, super easy process for you to go through. Take it out, get it hooked up, get it connected. The app is extremely seamless. You download it, and it's simple. It walks you through the process. They send you kind of instructions, but it's pretty much just download the app and go from there. That's about it, and that's pretty much all you should ever need with devices nowadays. There's no reason you should need any more than that, and this is the case for this as well. Now, I did take note of this charger, and I mentioned in the Whoop video that I didn't like there were multiple components to it. I like being able to plug directly into the device to be able to charge it because I don't want to have to lose or have to track down a device and then go have it replaced. Some of the devices I've used before, the way you charge them, again, multiple components, or you have to take it apart and then you kind of like just let it sit in the charging port and it falls out or it gets lost and all these various things. And it's just kind of a pain in the butt and you got enough stuff to track, right? So why have another thing to track? This is like a little clamp. It's pretty interesting. It's like you could literally use it. You could double it as a potato chips, right? Put on your potato chips when you're not charging your device. It's pretty much what it is, right? So it's got the sensor in here, kind of connects and charges the wristband, and that's pretty interesting. So pretty cool. I'm gonna see. We're gonna do like I do with most of these videos. I'm gonna do part of it, like my initial impressions, and I'm gonna wear it for a few days, and then come back and review it and tell you guys what I actually think. But so far, one thing I loved about the Whoop is the comfort. This is more or less the same. It kind of feels like one of those old school like WWJD bands, you know, like you used to wear back in like grade school. I don't know if you're familiar with those or not. But anyways, that's kind of what the material feels like. It's super lightweight. I'll give a slight edge, and I'm gonna do a comparison, Whoop versus the Halo. I would give a slight edge to the Whoop in terms of comfort, but overall, I think it's great. It's small. I do prefer a little bit of an interface on these. Specifically if you're running or doing some kind of exercise. I like that my Garmin does have a watch face so I can see what time it is quickly without having to look at my phone, or if I'm running, I can see how many steps that I took without having to go into the app. Doesn't have that, it just records data. I'm gonna see how much I enjoy that or how much it bothers me. And then in terms of the app itself, so once you get everything connected, one thing that I really liked, and I honestly give them the edge over all devices, like any device I've ever tried before, they do a phenomenal job of walking you through the process. There's interactive videos, there's animations, it explains things to you, it tells you what's available. It's a very interactive experience. In fact, I'm actually gonna show you a clip from that first part when you first sign up, because I think it's gonna be helpful to help you kind of understand what this device brings. Okay, and then in terms of actually going through the device, so you'll see it's across the top when you first come in, you've got a feed, and it's gonna give you just quick at-a-glance view. So heart rate, or I guess it's points. Oh, okay, I see what this is. This is activity points. So it's gonna tell you how many intense moments you had, moderate, light, and then how much you were sedentary. That's a really big thing. It looks like they also give you points for activities you've done and stuff like that. I'm unsure, and I'm gonna find out if this records activities automatically or if it kicks in after a certain point. Most devices do that, so I'll keep you posted on that. A lot of really cool things they provide here in terms of additional resources is pretty cool. So it's gamified is probably the best way to say it. Across the bottom, you can click over to data. So they have something that's cool, and this is really important. And this is something I think is a real winner with this device in comparison to others. And I'm gonna talk more about this as we continue to go through this video. But functional movement is a big deal, and we don't talk about that enough with any of these devices, or maybe even at all. As a conversation, it doesn't happen much. Functional movement is fantastic. Movement is one of the most vital parts of energy. Breathing and movement are huge in terms of energy production, but also as we get older, we need to be stretching and maintaining good functional movement. It prevents injuries. There's a plethora of things that it's really beneficial for. And this actually uses, and I don't know how you feel about this, but it uses machine learning over time to take you through a series of movements and then give you a score based off of how well you're moving. I've worked with functional medicine practitioners, and we do these kind of things together. So the fact that you're getting that with this device, that's really intuitive. That's so far advanced in comparison to the other devices that I've tried. That's a real plus as far as I'm concerned. You go to the Discover tab across the bottom, and you got a variety of different things. I really like this, and this kind of makes it worth it potentially, meaning the way this is set up, you pay $100 up front, and then it's a few dollars a month. I think it's like $1.99 or $2.99 or something like that. You know, I'm going to look in and make sure. There might be tiers. As I go through this, I'm going to research a little bit more, so I'll fill you in on that. But what I love is that there are programs you can go through, and it looks like they're adding new stuff all the time. So there's workout programs, there's stretching programs, there's sleep programs you can listen to. Headspace has a soundtrack on here, which is really smart. I saw Orange Theory. They have a program on here. There's HIIT workouts. So theoretically speaking, I know a lot of people struggle with this because they're like, I don't have a gym membership, or sometimes I don't get to the gym, or I'm traveling a lot, or whatever. This is effectively like a gym membership in your phone to a large degree. It's like having a dietitian and a wellness coach. I mean, they've wrapped a lot of resources into this, and I've talked about it before. I don't like paying for data. And I was concerned about that when I got this device, that I'd be more so paying for data like with the Whoop strap. What I'm seeing though is you're really paying for all of those resources. That's really what you're paying. So it's like $100 for the band, which is fair. That's what I paid for the Garmin Vivo Smart. But what looks like the ongoing expense is for a lot of these programs. So I always say this. I go to Lifetime Fitness or Lifetime Athletic, whichever one you call it. And a lot of people are like, man, it's so expensive. I'm like, yeah, but you get a lot of stuff. And if you take advantage of those things, if you bought them individually, like if I went to yoga class separate from the gym, I would probably pay more than the membership fee just in yoga class. And I take advantage of all of those programs that they have and the variety of machines that they have and so on and so forth. So I get use out of it. But if I was only looking for a place to just go throw some iron around, you're right, it wouldn't be worth it. Popular programs, really cool. Again, I'm very impressed with the resources. So far, what I can tell, this is a real winning feature. This is what blew my mind when I'm looking through this. I'm like, okay, this is probably worth it. This is a great device. And already I can tell I like it better than like 99% of the devices that I've seen out there, because you can tell they've thought of everything. Really, truly, they've put a lot of diligence, and I can appreciate that. Next, so you can see across the top here, they've got fitness, sleep, nutrition, mindfulness, etc. And there's programs for each, workouts or programs. So you can do one-off workouts, or you can do actual programs. So this is a 4-week program, 1-week program, 3-week program, movement, weightlifting. I mean, there's a variety of things that it looks like would fill your needs. It looks like there's a filter, so you can pick whichever ones you want. It looks like there's some partners that you can choose from. Some really cool stuff you can do with that as well. So that's very cool. Sleep. So if you do have sleep issues, I know a big thing is, yeah, it measures your sleep, a lot of these devices, but it's not giving you sleep resources. I actually commented on my 8 Sleep video if you want to check that out. Highly recommend the 8 Sleep, by the way. It's a phenomenal mattress, smart bed. It's incredible. But one of the things that I love that they did is they provide those resources as well. So it's not just, hey, we're going to measure your sleep. We're not going to help you sleep. It'd be nice to have something that actually helps you sleep, because that's probably an issue that you might be experiencing. So very, very cool that they added that as well. Nutrition, so cool. A lot of nutrition programs, optimized fluids, some from Mayo Clinic, like some really, really reputable sources. Whether I agree with them or not on all things, it doesn't matter. Smart snacking. I mean, it's really educating you, and that seems like a really cool feature. Mindfulness, talked about this before. It looks like there's just a different tab to find that. Now, let's talk about the part where my conspiratory side comes out, and I'm a little concerned. So they have this feature called Tone. Okay, that's why I was talking to the device when we started this video. It listens to you, and it looks like what it does is it tells you how you're presenting yourself. So if you sound angry, if you sound irritable, if you sound restless, if you sound happy, if you sound excited, it tells you all of the times throughout the day that you were those various emotional states. Now, here's the deal, and I read a little bit about the privacy, and I'm going to test this and see how I feel about it. But I'm kind of nervous about big tech, right? And it's kind of why I would rather support, to a degree, smaller companies versus Amazon, for a variety of reasons. I don't like big anything. I don't like big government. I don't like big corporations. I like the little guy, right? I'm an entrepreneur. That's what we do, right? We support the little guys. So I'm a little nervous. There are issues with Alexa where, you've probably seen videos online where Alexa's listening, and like just some weird reports and rumors and stuff like that. So I'm a little nervous about that. I'm a little nervous. I think this might be Amazon's way, again, conspiratory, might be Amazon's way of like learning more about you and your functions, because it makes sense. Think about it from a business standpoint. If I know what you're doing and I know how you engage in your life and where you are and the ways that you live, I can then market products to you and show things to you on the Amazon app that coincide with that, right? Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Again, it's more conspiratorial than anything else, but it makes me nervous, and I don't know how I feel about that. Now, they do go into, like I said, there's privacy settings and stuff like that. Basically, it sounds like everything is deleted. It's just what they call in-transit encryption. So it goes from device to phone, and then immediately it just saves on your phone, but it deletes that. So there's no historical record of that. Now, let's hope that's the case. There is a little bit more about that. You can, that part's not saved in the cloud, and you can go through, it looks like, and actually delete things that are saved in the cloud from time to time and periodically. So it looks like they are trying to overly promote the fact that they're not saving or storing your data. I don't know. I'm still a bit nervous about it. I'm going to set it up and see how I feel about it. But that part kind of feels like a Trojan horse that I'm walking around with on my wrist. We're going to find out. Anyways, so that's my initial impressions. I'm going to do some of the things. I'm going to do the body composition. I think that's really cool. It does measure HRV, it looks like, which is an important metric. If you've watched my videos about health and biometric devices, you know how high I am on HRV. So I'm going to see. I'm going to see how I feel about this. I'm going to measure it against my 8 sleep and see if the sleep data is actually accurate. I'm going to see it measures body temperature. There's a lot of stuff this thing pulls in. And I'm going to try some of the workout programs to tell you how I feel about it. But I'm going to see you guys in a few days after I get this, get some experience, get some exposure with it. So I'll see you then. All right, so it's been like a week and a half, and I want to talk about some of the things that I found from this device. So I like it a lot. I'm really impressed with this thing. In fact, it greatly exceeded my expectations. One of the things that I did note is the comfort of the band, which is really important, especially if you're wearing it all the time. But also, too, there has like this little stopper, right? So when you're trying to pull the band, it won't come off completely, which is really nice. Like it kind of has it's like a safety net, right? So I went and did a lot of things. I wakeboard every week. I'm very physically active, and I didn't have any issues with this thing coming off, which was kind of what I was concerned about when I saw it was Velcro. So that's huge that despite the fact that it is Velcro, it feels like more of like a commercial grade Velcro, but there were no issues whatsoever. It stayed on. I had no issues. And honestly, that's a big win over the Whoop strap. The Whoop, it kind of was moving around a lot. And so doing kind of intense sports or things of that nature, the things that I do, it might have actually presented some issues. Now, let's talk about the app, because this is where I was really curious to see how this device would actually perform. For one, the battery only lasted about 2 days when you add tone, right? That really sucked the battery. I didn't turn tone off, so I'm not sure how long it would last without that on, but it does listen to you, and it looks like a little light comes on when it's listening, right? So that was interesting. That was an interesting perspective. In terms of overall, the metrics that you need, the basic stuff, the sleep metrics, the heart rate, the steps taken, the recovery, things of that nature, were pretty basic, right? Like I don't even think I had like true recovery score. So that was one thing. The next thing that I noted, all right, so when I started the device, I went through and did all the stuff. So like I did the body type thing, right? So your body composition. So I do my body composition every week at the gym, and I use a really advanced piece of equipment at the gym at Lifetime Fitness where I go. And I've been in like the 12 to 14 range, is kind of where I stay. This thing put me at 23% body fat. So it was way off, unless I've just like grossly increased my body fat percentage over like the last 4 days. It was way off, right? So that was interesting. But it was really not accurate. Kind of scary how it like went through that process, and there's like a picture of you, and it's like a digital it's really kind of weird, actually. Movement score. That was really fascinating. So they have you do a set of functional movements, and basically it gives you a score based on that. So you set your phone up against the wall. This is what you do for the body composition as well. You set your phone up on the floor against the wall, and then you do various movements. Like you do some squats, you do some shoulder raises. Like there's some different things that you do just to show like how stable you are. So it breaks it down. It talks about your posture, stability, mobility, and it breaks down all the various areas of your body. Now, something that I thought was really cool is that actually it gives you exercises based on where you scored. So I got a 90, so I actually did pretty well. I do a lot of functional movement and stretching and stuff like that already, yoga, stuff like that. But that was a really, like, that's so underrated, really underrated. And a lot of people are always like, oh, I want to get ripped, or I want to get buff, or I want to get this or that. But functional movement is really important. You're talking about preventing injuries, and in terms of getting older, it's very important. That's going to really prevent a lot of those aches and pains and things of that nature. Specifically with how much we sit. If you're a business owner and you're sitting all the time, you want to make sure you have that mobility still. So that's really important, right? And sitting too with the stability aspect. So that was a really cool feature that I really liked. A lot of the stuff was whatever. Now, I do want to talk about the tone because that was the big thing. And I know I talked about all of the different workouts and diet plans, and that's a huge winner. Like that really sets this thing apart, and kind of like it creates its own genre, honestly, if I'm being really, really candid. I'm kind of underwhelmed by tone. So I'll show kind of what I got here. But this day in particular, it showed that I had 2% happy moments, 1% of just kind of like, meh, whatever moment, and then 0% of like angry, upset moments. So I was relatively happy that day. However, what I found was it only takes like maybe 2 or 3 phrases from the entire day. It's not like it's listening to everything you say and giving you constructive feedback. My first impression of it was like, you're going to be able to practice for a speech or practice for a sales pitch, right? Like it was going to help you really modify. If you're a business owner and you're doing a sales presentation, it would really give you feedback as it's listening to you practice it in the mirror. That's not really what it does. In fact, it doesn't even tell you what you said, which might be a little creepy if it did, but it doesn't even tell you what specifically you said, what phrases you said. So it's kind of hard to correct, even if you were a negative tone, or it'll tell you like you sounded stern or you sounded dismissive or you sounded angry, but it doesn't tell you at what specific moment. So you'd have to be watching it all the time. And when you were exclamatory, you'd have to be like, okay, let's see, like, where did I score? Right. So that was kind of funny. There is a live thing you can do. So you can do like a live statement and like practice it like while holding the button, like record yourself doing it, and it'll give you feedback how you are presenting yourself in that moment. But again, it's not done automatically, so you'd have to do it in that moment. But anyways, it may be something that's warranted. I don't know. I think it doesn't outweigh the risk of potentially having a device listening to you all the time, because in my mind, there's more incentive for Amazon to be listening to the things you talk about, how you live your life, so they can advertise products to you on Amazon Prime, versus there is to like give you a couple pieces of feedback 3 times a day. Like I just didn't really see a benefit, specifically how much it drains the battery. So that's that. So again, my overall thing, activity I thought was great. It does give you points, which is really cool. It gives you points based on every single day. And there's a certain amount of points you should get every single week. We live very sedentary lives, and just getting the body moving is so huge, so important. And so that's a really cool thing, because there's like a measurement of like, this is how much you need to get. Some of the other ones, they only track like how many steps you took and so on and so forth. But there's not a gamified system. And this is really cool because it does give you that system. Like, how do you measure? Well, I walked around the house a lot, or I was up and moving around, but I wasn't going to the gym. Well, okay, did you still get enough? Does it still qualify as enough exercise, getting the body moving enough, right? So that was really cool. I like that feature a lot. That's really, really nice. Again, there's no comparison to this device, to this strap. I was thinking going into it that it was like the comparable maybe device to the Whoop, but the Whoop is totally different. This is more health and wellness coach. And this is great if you don't have a gym membership. So like if you don't like the gym and you just want to be at home, this is the device for you, right? Like, so if you travel a lot for your business, this is a perfect device because you're in the hotel room and you can do workouts from home, helps you with meal plans, helps you, right? So like it's going to really give you that benefit if you're just not a gym person, but you also want to know some of the stuff is going. There's going to be some accountability in play, and then some of the other basic metrics that you can glean from. It said, and I Googled this, and it says all over it, it measures HRV, but I didn't see anywhere, and I dug all over the place. I went through the manual. I went through everything. I could not find HRV. And that's an important factor for me. I want to know, as a business owner, what is the stress that I'm enduring and putting on my body and on myself? And I couldn't find that. So if they do have it, it's somewhere in there that I couldn't find it. And if I can't find it with how many devices I use, I'm confident that many people will be able to find it either. Most of these things, if they don't record HRV by itself, it means there's an additional piece of equipment that's required to record HRV. So, I did find the data very accurate. I measured against both my Garmin and my 8 Sleep, which is a smart bed. Pretty accurate. It was pretty spot on with my other measurements, my other readings. So I know that it's within the ballpark, at least within a 2 to 3 percentile range. It was pretty close. So anyways, overall, I think if you are going to pay for data, this makes a lot more sense than paying for the Whoop. The Whoop is like $15 to $30 a month. With this, you're paying less than $5 a month for actual data. And the big thing is you're not actually paying for the data with this. Like I said previously, what you're really paying for is that ongoing support. It's the updated workouts, the updated meal plans. If it's taking your functional movement and giving you recommendations based off that, it's like you're paying for a personal trainer without having to pay for a personal trainer. Now, there's obviously benefits to having a real personal trainer in the real world. I'm not discrediting that. But again, this is like a nomadic personal trainer. I think it's great. I really am impressed. Of all the devices that I've tried so far, I've tried the Garmin Sapphire. I have the Garmin Vivo Smart 4. I did the Whoop Strap. I've done Oura Ring. I've done 8 Sleep. I mean, I've tried a lot of these devices, and BioStrap as well. And this one stands kind of close to the top. I'm really, really impressed. I think they've done a good job. I think with later iterations of this, since it is relatively new compared to the other devices, I think they've got a lot they can do with this. I really do. Look, some things I like to see. I'd like to see a front face where I can actually tell the time on it and kind of see my steps I've taken and stuff like that. I'd like to see a measurement of stress in some form, whether it's HRV or their own algorithm, however they're going to figure it out. So some minor things that I would add to it, but overall, I think you're for bang for buck, spend $100 and then a couple, $100 is comparable to the Garmin Vivo Smart. That's really what you're paying for. If Garmin had the additional workout programs and diet plans and functional movement readings and body composition and all the things that they're providing for ongoing support, I would say it's worth it. So I think you're good to go. I think you're going to love this. You get the first 6 months for free. I think that's great of the actual program. See if it's a good fit for you. And then if not, you own it for $100. You can cancel that and just use the actual ongoing support and just use the basic readings. So I think it's a win-win. I would absolutely try it out. I know I've been negative about some of these devices, but I'm really high on this. I think it's a really solid option. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the other videos that I've done because there's so many smartwatch videos that I've talked about, including the Whoop, including the Garmin, all the ones that I mentioned. Check that out. I also have a biohacking playlist, right? It's everything that I do, all the things I engage with to be a top-performing, peak-performing entrepreneur, which is why you're here. Hopefully, it's why you're watching these videos because you want to up-level your game as an entrepreneur. You want to up-level your game as a business owner. The only way to do big things requires big energy. And so to have that energy, you got to be doing things without wearing these devices, like driving around, not looking at your dash. Am I out of gas? Is my engine overheating? I have no idea. I'm not looking, right? That's literally the equivalent. So if you're interested in more stuff like that, make sure to check out the other videos. Check out that biohacking playlist. That download is in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. See you guys in the next one.